You know, the internet could flame me right now. I don't care. Dark Souls is overrated. Not because it's a bad game. I just suck at it.
Call of Duty, Madden, NBA 2K. These are games that come out year after year after year after year after year and don't change.
Fortnite's overrated.
Overrated game, Call of Duty. Easy. In my eyes, it's the same thing every year.
Which game did I think was overrated or is overrated? I would say Call of Duty Warzone.
Many of the Call of Duty games I think are severely overrated because they have starting to get over the top similar to each other and they go back to World War II way too often.
I've mentioned my hate for Call of Duty games, so a lot of the newer ones I think are overrated.
Would probably have to be Call of Duty, maybe Modern Warfare 2019, but it is a good game though. Don't get me wrong on that.
Call of Duty.
Most major sports titles are definitely overrated. These days, any sports game that gets over a 5 is vastly overrated.
Overrated Skyrim, like it's alright.
The closest thing would be Witcher 3.
That's a tough call. I'm gonna say Witcher is super overrated in my book. No diss to CD Projekt Red. They do great and they make fantastic games. It's just Witcher is just not my cup of tea of a game.
The Uncharted games are a little bit overrated. That's not to say that they aren't, great games. They're very enjoyable, extremely well acted, but I don't think that they should be seen as highly as they are.
Most overrated game, stories, and sequels would be The Last of Us.
I am starting to think The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is getting overrated. It's a great game, don't get me wrong, but it's over 5 years old now, so I think we need to move on.
Not a lot of people are going to like this opinion, but I think Elden Ring is quite overrated. There's something with it, I don't know what it is, but there's just something with Elden Ring that I just can't enjoy.
I'd say 12 minutes. It felt like a very cheap plot twist, it felt like a very cheap structure.
The latest Resident Evil, I mean, it's a good game, but it doesn't keep me like, ooh, chill.
One game that I think is a bit overrated, and it is Assassin's Creed 2.
Red Dead Redemption Online, since it has 97 score in Metacritic, when you look in the surface, it's pretty average game, like very basic shooting. You get a quest, you travel, you go finish the quest, repeat, nothing very interesting.
You know, the internet could flame me right now. I don't care. Dark Souls is overrated. Not because it's a bad game. I just suck at it.
Well, the COD series and the Halo series, I'd say, because with the recent Halo and COD releases, the quality of the games is going down, and it's too overrated because of the games that used to be in it. But compared to the games that they're releasing recently, they're terrible.
Maybe I'm gonna make myself some enemies here, but Assassin's Creed, okay, it has amazing graphics. I love how they replicate like history in terms of environment and in terms of stories and stuff, but I'm not able to get into it.
I think GTA 4 is overrated.
I know a lot of people aren't gonna like this. I hate Grand Theft Auto. I'm not sorry. Just running around killing people for the sake of killing people. Grand Theft Auto Online is probably one of the most toxic communities I have ever seen.
I'm gonna get behind my chair for this one because I'm a little bit scared about the backlash. Probably Grand Theft Auto 4. Is that okay? Look, Grand Theft Auto 4 is fine, okay? It's a fine game. But I spent a long time playing GTA San Andreas, and that game was so big. There were like 3 different cities. You were swimming, you were flying, you were shooting, you were doing everything. There were schools to go driving, schools to go boating, girlfriends, just so much stuff. And then Grand Theft Auto 4 just really pulled a lot of that stuff out to focus on like a smaller city, better graphics, a nice story. It was just missing stuff.
Minecraft is a little overrated. So I played this other game called, it was like Expedition Craft, just like a knockoff version of Minecraft. I started playing that before I played Minecraft and I like low-key preferred it, so that's probably why.
Probably Titanfall too.
The latest Call of Duty are overrated.
Underrated, Icarus First Cohort, a survival game.
PlanetSide 2 is underrated.
For me, I would probably pick Sleeping Dogs.
Psychonauts on the PlayStation 2. That game didn't receive the best reception, and it's like a small cult following.
The Zero Dawn series. I think it's underrated.
Considering how many people love the Legend of Zelda series, it's weird that not enough people talk about the Legend of Zelda: Four Swords Adventures on the GameCube.
I thought Bayonetta was a very cool game, hands down. It just gets overshadowed by so many other things.
Bulletstorm. I actually said I love this game while I was playing Bulletstorm. I haven't done that really for any other game besides Nier. There are reasons for that one.
The most underrated game for me that I enjoyed a lot was Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Definitely Middle-earth Shadow of War. The Nemesis system and how it is constructed in that game is extremely extraordinary. I love it.
Watch Dogs 1.
A game that I feel is very underrated is X4 Foundations, and it's perfect for those gamers who are waiting for Star Citizen to be done. I think it's a great game for those that want to hop in and dogfight.
For me, has to be the newest Guardians of the Galaxy. It was incredible. Exceeded expectations. People were not that excited about it, I think, because of the lackluster response to the Avengers game. The gameplay isn't anything revolutionary. It's a lot of fun.
The game that I think is underrated more recently is the Guardians of the Galaxy game that was published by Square Enix. I thought that game was great. I feel like it sort of redeemed Square Enix from the abysmal Marvel's Avengers game that came out before it. It had incredible writing. The story was great. The characters were great. In fact, I liked it so much that I think I preferred the video game version of the Guardians of the Galaxy more than the MCU version.
I think Infinite Warfare is kind of underrated. It's not great, but they tried something new. They went against their own formula a little bit by trying to go to the future. It ended up being kind of a Halo clone, which works against it, but I like the fact they tried something new, and I think it's kind of underrated for it.
For the most underrated game, I think it should be Infamous game. It was like the best game I have ever played for that time, since you had powers after the explosion, you got like Electric Man.
I feel like the Infamous series is really underrated. Like Infamous Second Son, I love the game and I wish they would have continued on the story.
Which game would be underrated? I'd pick Worms 3D.
The Bouncer on PS2. The characters were like fun, the gameplay was fun.
There's quite a lot of games that I really enjoy but doesn't hit the mainstream. And I recently played a game called Home Sweet Home. It's a horror game from Thailand. I think people would love it.
Counter-Strike 1.6 because it's a team building game, isn't it? And even though it doesn't have the graphics that you have now, it still is a great game.
Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. That was a completely underrated game for sure. The Oddworld series is really known for its crazy and wacky designs, but like Stranger's Wrath was a very different take, especially on the bounty hunter genre. You don't use typical ammunition, you use living ammo where you get to hunt and find critters to kind of help you in hunting down your bounties.
Underrated? I really enjoyed Cyberpunk. All the glitches and everything that came out, a lot of people didn't like it and were very turned off by it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it had good story. I thought it was really cool.
I think Fallout 3 is underrated. A lot of people hate on Fallout 3. I think it's a great game.
Underrated, I'd say, particularly Call of Juarez Gunslinger. The gameplay is really good and the story is pretty fun. There could be also Mirror's Edge, the original one, and there can be also Sniper Ghost Warrior 3.
Gravity Rush? Is that underrated? I don't hear people talking about Gravity Rush anymore. I don't know if it was underrated at the time, but I actually like Gravity Rush, and I feel like it is underrated because not a lot of people talk about it now. Like, I remember playing both Gravity Rush games. Man, it was so cool to have, like, gravity powers, because technically you're not flying, you're falling horizontally or upwards. You could control your power that way. You could also launch objects to enemies and also launch enemies. Well, I want to get back to playing it.
You know, a game that is underrated though, maybe not crazy underrated, but I think Final Fantasy VI is probably the best game in the entire series. And I think it constantly gets overshadowed by Final Fantasy VII, because Final Fantasy VII is like the whoa, it's the magnum opus. It's the thing that everyone bloody loves, but Final Fantasy VI sometimes gets forgotten, and it's really great.
Underrated game, I'd say The Forgotten City.
About underrated games, I got the whole list of those, but here I'll name only 3. Amnesia and Machine for Pigs, and all other Amnesia beside the Dark Descent, Ruiner, and Watch Dogs 2.
Postscriptum is underrated.
Underrated, I just started playing this game called Undungeon. It's a dungeon crawler. I think it's really good.
WWE 2K.
I hated it so much. It was horrible for me. It didn't give me a chance to play it.
I don't know if you can even find footage of this game somewhere, but...
Just no thank you.
Subscribe to Gameology, my friends, please. Why don't you subscribe to Gameology?